Hi everyone, this is a audio podcast on questions I receive on email or on YouTube. And if you have any questions for me, if you need coaching, if you need some advice, you can either email me at lifecoachautumnblake, lifecoachautumn like the season, AUTUMN, Blake, BLAKE, at gmail.com. I will either do a video or talk about it on an upcoming radio show on Blog Talk Radio. I am going to be back on air starting next week. I'll put a post. So this person who emailed me asked me to give her advice, and she wrote quite a long email, which I printed up, and I'm going to actually read the whole thing because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. And she said it was fine for me to read the email and give her the advice on either on the internet radio show or on a video. So she gave me the consent to read this. Said, "Hi, Autumn, Cluster B and me. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Your videos are great." So she went, very nice, thank you. The question. So this is what she wrote. It was very long, so bear with me. Is it possible to be addicted to a person? Maybe this question is stupid, but I don't know how else to describe the way I am with my on-again, off-again boyfriend of 4 years. I'll call him John. I am 32 years old, and John is 38 years old. A few months ago, I was Googling stuff to learn about emotional abuse because I'd start wondering sometimes, maybe the way my boyfriend John treats me is emotional abuse. That's when I discovered narcissistic abuse and the term narcissistic personality disorder and learned what a quote-unquote covert narcissist is. I couldn't believe what I found out. I spent that entire week nonstop watching every video I could find and reading everything I could find. It made everything make sense to me. Finally, my boyfriend almost exactly fits nearly every trait of a covert narcissist. And so much of what I've learned from YouTube videos like yours and others about narcissistic abuse helped make sense of everything going on over my entire relationship with John. It was both a relief and a horrifying. A relief to give it a name and know it wasn't me being crazy, as my boyfriend would often claim, and then convince me that I was always the problem, and I've spent these last 4 years trying to fix myself, in quotes, trying to always be more understanding or whatever it was. I kept doing it to try and make things good between him and I. I always convinced myself I could make things good again. See, I've kept hanging on all these years and working so hard to fix things because I had seen how amazing it was between John and I at the beginning, and every time when we'd get back together for a few months, for the first few weeks or months, or a month, sorry. So I truly believed that was the potential we had. But finding all this out has also been horrifying because I'm now seeing truths that had eluded me previously or that I had buried my head in the sand about and pretended didn't exist. I'm now seeing that John is basically never going to change and that the loving, kind man I had thought was his true self is really his mask, and that the rageful, angry man who often withholds his love and affection to me to punish me wasn't just moodiness or his inability to cope with stress, as I had previously thought, but that this is actually who he truly is. I'm still having a hard time coming to terms with it, even though deep down I know it's true. I go through periods where I actually go into denial and convince myself I'm just being paranoid. Deep down I know John isn't good for me, and that how he treats me is not okay, and that I deserve better. I know he causes me infinite amount of pain and heartache at times. Every time he breaks up with me or needs his space, I'm sent into a downward spiral of depression and hurt beyond words. I do know that I'm unhappy, really, and that the whole thing is dysfunctional and is actually truly abusive. And that as much as I want so badly to be with him, that I love him, that I'm not my best self when I'm with him, that I've become a ghost of my former self. I know all these things intellectually, and sometimes I feel so strong and will go no contact for a week or two, and will be 100% confident in my assessment and decision to end it once and for all. But then, suddenly, it's like I cannot go on without him, and I call him and I see him, and will even agree to be with him again, it's like I can't help it. I'll know intellectually I shouldn't even do it as I'm doing it, but I just have to see him. Like I'll never be okay again if I don't see him or be with him or have sex with him. The only way I can describe it is like how I've heard drug addicts or alcoholics describe doing drugs or drinking. It's like I'm addicted to him. Is that even possible? What's so wrong with me? How do I stop doing this? I'm sorry that this is so long. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I just want to add a few more things. Because I'm getting back with him always causes me pain, and yet I can't help myself. I still do it. I'm embarrassed and often disgusted with myself, and yet as soon as one time has passed, it almost seems like I get withdrawals, and the only way to feel happy again in the moment is to see him or get back with him. What can I do to stop this? For the last 3 months, I've been on the cycle. My life is messed up, and I feel like a drug addict. Do you have any suggestions? Can you help me understand why I feel this way and how I cannot feel this way anymore? How can I break the cycle, this what feels like my drug addiction? Have you seen this with other people before, or is it just me? Am I just screwed up? I've tried going to a therapist a few times. I even went to a psychologist that I got through my insurance, and they didn't help at all. I think maybe they made it worse, actually. I saw a video you made talking about this. I can totally relate. Where can I get help for this? Maybe I'm codependent with him and I don't know it. Maybe I do have my own issues, but I don't act this way with anyone else, nor have I ever. And I'm 32 years old. I've had other relationships. Do you have time to take me on as a client? Please, with all my heart, I ask you, can you help me and find time this week to work with me or answer this question when you have time? Thank you for the videos. Sincerely, Amy from Colorado. Okay, Amy, I think just reading this your email was probably good for somebody. A lot of people can relate. I'm just going to assure you one thing. I think this is the question that goes along a lot of people's minds when they're going through this kind of narcissistic abuse and being in the thick of it, is that how you feel and what you described is so typical and so normal that I literally feel like you are the poster child for narcissistic abuse. Everything that you just described. So yes, it is normal. No, there's nothing wrong with you. If the truth is that, and look, I believe you. I don't just go ahead and blame the person with the narcissistic abuse syndrome, the person that's with the narcissist, because I know how narcissists are. They use mind control tactics. They're highly manipulative. If you truly do not see the traits, these quote unquote, as you call it, codependency traits in your life and other people, with other people, other relationships, then what I would say is that you're situationally codependent. Now, I don't like the word codependent. I just put up a video a few hours ago on what my issues with codependency are, but the traits are real. So, you're situationally codependent, quote unquote, these traits you see in yourself. I put up a video last week. Yes, it is possible to be addicted to somebody. Absolutely. Our brain gets obsessed, attached. Love is a very powerful drug. You release a lot of oxytocin, a lot of other chemicals in your brain that you do become addicted to. This up and down punishment reward cycle that you don't know what's going to come next. I talked about this before. This inconsistent cycle, reward cycle, where you could do one thing one day, get a reward, he'll love you. Do the next thing, same thing the next day, and you'll get a punishment. It's all inconsistent. This creates the highest release of dopamine in your brain and the biggest psychological motivation to do more, to do more, to do more, to get that reward. What you're describing is symptoms of complex PTSD. There's no simple answer for you. However, there's one important thing, and I know it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to approach this similar to you would approach not drinking or doing drugs. A certain drug is you have to go non-contact. That has to be what you need to work up to. You need a coach or a therapist that understands this to work with you. I will, just between Amy and I, this is a public video, but I will contact you when I have an open spot. I have a few open spots. So just as a side note, I'm a life coach. I have a PsyD. I've worked for many years. I was doing corporate life coaching, and I'm slowly getting rid of my corporate life coaching clients, many of them who are narcissists and sociopaths, ironically. So every week or two, I'm getting a few more open spots. So, Amy, I will contact you. I do have a couple open spots for next week, starting next week, permanent spots that you can be with me for however long you need me as your coach. So, if somebody is going through this, or Amy, if you're going through this, working with a coach or a therapist who understands this, very important. Going through no contact is like drug withdrawal in a way. You need somebody to guide you. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to fail. It takes 7 times on average for a woman or a man to get away from their abuser. Whatever type of abuser it is, that's what the research shows. So 7 times, it's a lot of times. Every time you go back, don't look at it as though you failed. Look at it as though it's another time closer to the point where you're going to succeed. Gosh, I could go on and on about your video, or about your, in this video about your email, which I will talk about these in upcoming videos and these audio videos. Just know, and on my radio show online, just know that what you're feeling is completely natural to the situation. Yes, you might have some issues to work through. We all do. I was just talking about this in another video. The goal in life should not be to be without issues. Having issues is a human condition, is the human condition. The goal is to be relatively happy and in a relatively positive energy space. That should be the goal. And you'll never get there without going no contact. Number one thing you have to do. Hate to say it, I know it's hard. There's some strategies you can use. You can do some self learning. I will talk with you, and if anyone's going through this, I am going to this email actually. I picked this email of all the emails I've had so far as my first one to do because I felt that it illustrated so many things that so many people are probably going through. I'm going to kind of go bit by bit to answer these questions and make a video on each one of these questions she asked about these specific traits she's found in herself. So I wish you well, Amy from Colorado. I will reach out to you. And to everybody else, I hope you're having a wonderful week and much love and much positive energy. Namaste. Have a great night.